Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Sienna, and today we are going to be talking and touring all of the animals that I have currently. Obviously, if you have watched the channel before, then you would know that I have quite a few plants at this point, and that really has been the highlight of some of the past videos, if you want to check them out. But it was actually animals that first got me into plants, rather than the other way around. So I'm sure, as some of you might already know, it is generally easier to collect plants than it is to collect animals, but I still have quite a few that I would love to share with you guys. So that's why today's video is going to be dedicated to, again, all of the animals in my room and talking a little bit more about each one of them. So let's get straight on into this. So behind me is the fish that started it all, and that is goldfish. So the reason why I got into goldfish was originally because my mom actually got a 20-gallon fish tank for the downstairs area. At the time, I really didn't know anything about taking care of fish, or really pets in general. I had a very strong interest, obviously, but I never really had one of my own. So with her, I learned the ropes of how to take care of fish and learned how to keep those guys properly alive. I decided that I wanted fish of my own. So originally the plan was to get a 10-gallon, and then a 20-gallon, and then that turned into a 30-gallon, and then I finally settled on a 40-gallon. If you have any idea how much weight water is, this much water is roughly 320 pounds. So before even getting the fish tank, I had to get this bad boy behind me, and that is a solid wood dresser to put the fish tank on. I eventually ended up actually buying the fish tank, and then it took a while to cycle it, and then I finally was able to get the goldfish that I wanted. At this point, both of the guys behind me are definitely grandpa goldfish. I've had them for a while, and given they are fancy goldfish, they don't live quite as long. Regardless, I love both of them anyway, and they have given me so much joy being able to have them in my room. They each have their own problems, but just like humans or dogs or anything else, as they get older, they're going to have more of those problems. And as long as I feel like they are getting the quality of life that they deserve, then I'm happy. So Carter behind me is probably the biggest between both of them, and he has these luscious, long fins. He's also very food motivated, and it's so cool to see him go after food or just swim around the tank because he's so elegant. He wasn't always like that. He was definitely a derpy baby fish, but he's definitely matured. As for Hazel, between the two, he is definitely the grandpa. It seems like he has a persistent chronic fungal infection that I keep treating, but it seems like the type of thing that maybe comes up whenever he's more stressed out. He's also kind of a derpy swimmer. He's always been that way. His fins overlap just slightly, so it causes him to be a little bit more of a back floater. Regardless, he is absolutely adorable, and he still loves his food. He loves swimming around his tank. He loves being with his brother, and as long as he's doing all those things, that makes me happy. And it's the best money I've ever spent buying these guys because it opened up so many more opportunities for me and so many avenues of things that I am now super passionate about. Next, behind me, I have Dormy. He was the next pet that I ended up getting after the goldfish. I decided that I had wanted a leopard gecko for a long time, and they are on the better side for a beginner reptile if you want to get into that hobby. So I ended up getting Dormy, and he probably has the most distinct personality out of everyone in the pet room here. Obviously, everyone has their own unique personalities, but Dormy especially is a little character. I would say he's probably a mix between feisty and goofy. Sorry, the camera just turned off, of course. But as I was saying, I remember when I first was hand training him, I guess, he would go to the bathroom on me every time. He pooped on my book once, he pooped on my bed once, he's pooped on me a couple times, but he has definitely mellowed out since then, and he no longer does the crazy pooping thing anymore. It's a lot nicer to have him out. But the reason why I ended up naming him Dormy was actually because of a French teacher that I have, and I am currently learning to speak French, and it was a tradition from this French teacher to name your leopard gecko after a French name, and instead of just picking a French regular name like Pierre or Claude, I decided to name Dormy after a French word. So I picked Dormy, which is a conjugation of the French word dormir, which means to sleep, and that's because every time that I first got Dormy, all he would like to do is sleep in his hide. And that's kind of what he still does. So I think the name suits him. So here is my betta fish, Roxy. And I absolutely love Roxy. She has absolutely an adorable personality, and she's actually a new addition to the room since the beginning of quarantine. Her story is a little bit interesting because I had been planning to get a betta fish for a while before I ended up getting her. I hadn't really pulled the trigger on it until, of course, right when quarantine started, and those plans were out the window. I was pondering ordering online, and I was thinking about all these options, and so I decided instead. And just as a reminder, a reason why I wasn't actually going into the stores was at the beginning of quarantine, it was quite a bit of a lockdown in my area. So a lot of the stores actually weren't allowing me to go in, and it was just pickup only, and they didn't have pickup only options for fish. So instead of ordering online, what I ended up doing was I ended up calling the store. So what I said was, I know you don't have a pickup policy for fish, but you can pick out any betta fish that looks healthy and I'll buy it for the price. If you just come out to the front of the store, I'll give you the money and you give me the fish. So it was quite an interesting transaction, and the woman that I ended up talking to was absolutely amazing and she was totally on board with it. So she picked 2 out for me, and I walked up to the front of the store with my mask on, handed her the money, and grabbed one of the 2. It was probably 2 seconds of picking out Roxy here, but I couldn't be more happier with my choice. She loves flaring at you, and it's also adorable because she will sleep on her plastic plants. Hello, are you gonna flare at me? So this is roughly a 4-gallon betta fish tank behind me, and it's a lot better than some of the betta fish tanks that I've seen on the market. In the future, the hope would be to upgrade her to something like a 10-gallon, but for now, it seems like she's doing great in the tank, and I make sure to clean it quite regularly, about as regularly as I do clean the larger tank. The next pet is obviously Reese, and I will put a little cue card to his video and explaining how I got him there, but he is an African fat-tailed gecko, and again, I'm not going to take him out because he is actually synced up with shedding cycles with Dormy. But again, he is an African fat-tailed gecko that I was able to get from a store near me. Thankfully, I was able to find this little guy, and since then, he's been an absolutely amazing African fat-tailed gecko. His personality is quite a little bit more reserved and relaxed than I would say Dormy is. He's a little bit more likely to just chill on you, and Reese is also a lot pickier, so he only really enjoys crickets. I've been trying to introduce him to something like dubia roaches or mealworms just to give him some variety, but as it stands, he really prefers the crickets, so as long as he's eating, that makes me happy. He's also so much smaller than Dormy is, but it'll be interesting to see if he grows or anything like that. I also named him after the candy Reese, because his coloration reminds me of peanut butter and chocolate, which is probably the best combo ever. And obviously, at some point in the near future, I would love to upgrade him to an Exoterra medium low, which is what I have Dormy in. But for some reason, the stores in my local area, I'm gonna guess due to COVID, have been having some really low stocks or just haven't been shipping them in. So it's the type of thing that I have to be a little bit more patient about in order to get him a proper upgrade. But for now, given he is quite a bit smaller than Dormy is, the 10-gallon that he is in right now is working great for him. Hopefully in the future though, I'll be able to upgrade it again to a 20-gallon. So besides the bugs and the plants, that's all of the animals that I have. I also have a cat, Nutmeg, which I will flash up on screen here, but in this video it was going to be more about the pets in my room versus necessarily ones that roam the house freely. So with that being said, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the video of all of the pets in my room currently. And obviously, if you have any more questions, please just leave it in the comments down below. And also feel free to subscribe. I post here every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday about animal and also plant related content. So if you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe and also leave me a like if you enjoyed the video. And with all of that being said, I hope you loved the video, enjoyed getting to meet all of the pets in my room, and I hope to see all of you next time. Bye.